I think it's just putting my life into perspective. I mean, at first I used to think negative things like, why is there so much pressure?
If you defend something, that means you won something. And if you did it, that means you can do it again. So
Coco Gauff has just detonated a legal earthquake that has sent shockwaves through the entire sports media world. This is not a rumor, not a social media storm, and not a temporary controversy that fades in 48 hours. This is a calculated, ruthless, and historic move. A 20-year-old tennis superstar has dropped a $50 million lawsuit on Fox Sports, and now one of the biggest networks in America is in full-scale damage control. So ask yourself this. What happens when a young athlete decides she is done being disrespected, done being talked down to, and done being used for ratings? She does not subtweet. She does not post a sad quote. She does not cry behind closed doors. She does something far more terrifying. She hires elite attorneys and takes the fight straight into the courtroom. Coco Gauff looked at Fox Sports, looked at the host who tried to tear her down on national television, and calmly decided that accountability was overdue. Not a fake apology. Not a backtracking statement. $50 million in consequences. Welcome back to Champions Tennis, where we break stories the mainstream would rather whisper about. If you love real tennis drama and athletes who refuse to be pushed around, stay locked in, because this story is only getting bigger by the hour. Right now Fox Sports is scrambling, the host at the center of this mess has gone completely silent, and Coco Gauff is preparing for the most important match of her life, not on a hard court or clay, but inside a courtroom where legacies and careers can be destroyed. Let's be honest for a moment. Fans often forget that elite athletes are still human beings. We see commercials, sponsorships, trophies, and highlight reels. We see fame and money and assume criticism should just bounce off. But behind all of that is a young woman who hears every word, reads every headline, and feels every attack. Coco herself recently addressed this exact issue when she said that people often forget the human side of athletes. She explained that fans and commentators say brutal things because they think success makes someone immune to pain. They say she is ranked near the top of the world, so she should not complain. But she also reminded everyone that even if she stopped playing tomorrow, her career would still be something millions of people could only dream of. And she is right. By the age of 20, Coco Gauff had already achieved what many professionals chase for over a decade. But this situation has nothing to do with her forehand, her footwork, or a bad match. This is about a specific Fox Sports personality who believed he could publicly dismantle a young black woman's reputation on live television and suffer zero consequences. He assumed she would stay quiet, smile politely, and move on like she always had. That assumption turned out to be a catastrophic mistake. Instead of firing off an emotional response online, Coco's inner circle went to work in silence. They archived every broadcast clip, every quote, every on-air smirk and dismissive tone. They built a case piece by piece, turning reckless commentary into documented evidence. Now Fox Sports is reacting like a defender who just realized the drop shot is already past them. Panic has set in. So how did it reach this point? Why did this moment become the breaking line? And what exactly was said that could justify a lawsuit worth $50 million? To understand that, we need to rewind to the moment everything exploded. It started as a routine sports segment during coverage of the Miami Open, one of the most important tournaments outside the Grand Slams. The panel was supposed to analyze upcoming matches, discuss form, and break down tactics. This is standard television. Serve percentages, movement, matchups. But one host decided that tennis analysis was not enough. He wanted controversy. He leaned into the camera and shifted the focus away from Coco's game and straight toward her character. He questioned whether the praise she receives is deserved. He labeled her immature. He suggested her biggest wins were accidents created by hype rather than ability. In essence, he told millions of viewers that a Grand Slam champion did not earn her success. He framed her entire career as a manufactured illusion. Think about that for a second. Coco Gauff burst onto the global stage as a teenager when she defeated Venus Williams at Wimbledon. She carried the pressure of American tennis after Serena stepped away. She captured the US Open in unforgettable fashion and followed it up with a gritty French Open title that proved she could dominate on clay. Yet a grown man with a microphone decided to dismiss all of it as luck and exaggeration. And it was not just the words themselves. It was the delivery, the smug tone, the dismissive expression. It was character destruction disguised as commentary. Even worse was the reaction in the studio. The other panelists shifted uncomfortably, laughed nervously, and let it happen. No one interrupted. No one challenged him. The network allowed it to air, clipped it for social media, and pushed it out for engagement. That decision backfired instantly. The internet responded within minutes. Clips spread everywhere. Fans recorded their screens and flooded social platforms with outrage. It was not limited to Coco's supporters. Casual viewers, journalists, and even people who barely follow tennis recognized how wrong it was. The reaction cut deeper because everyone understood the unspoken layer beneath the comments. When a young black woman excels, the scrutiny is different. She is not just criticized, she is questioned, diminished, and told to stay in her place. 4 days after the segment aired, Fox Sports said nothing. The host offered no clarification. No apology. Coco remained silent. That silence made people nervous. Was she hurt? Was she overwhelmed? Those who know her history understood something else was happening. Coco Gauff has dealt with disrespect before. She has handled losses, pressure, and post-match shade with composure. She has shown grace when rivals tried to minimize her achievements. But this time the silence was not surrender. It was preparation. Behind closed doors, there were meetings, phone calls, and legal strategy sessions. Coco was not reacting emotionally. She was calculating. To understand the weight of this lawsuit, you need to understand that Coco Gauff is not just an athlete. She is a global brand. She represents some of the biggest companies in the world. Her image is directly tied to trust, credibility, and inspiration. When a major media figure publicly labels her a fraud, it does more than insult her. It threatens her business. Sponsorships depend on public perception. Endorsements depend on respect. A false narrative pushed by a powerful network can translate into real financial harm. Coco's legal team analyzed that impact. They studied her current valuation, future earning potential, and the damage caused by those statements. The number they reached was not random. $50 million represents what they believe was put at risk by reckless broadcasting. The lawsuit reportedly centers on defamation, emotional harm, and interference with professional relationships. Legal analysts have already begun weighing in, and many believe the case is far stronger than people expected. Once commentary crosses from performance analysis into personal attacks, the legal danger zone appears. Fox Sports did not just cross that line. They ignored it completely. The moment the lawsuit became public, everything changed. The video disappeared from Fox platforms. The host stopped posting online. The energy shifted from arrogance to fear. And this is only the beginning. Once the lawsuit became public, the atmosphere inside Fox Sports reportedly flipped overnight. What had been treated as edgy commentary suddenly turned into a corporate emergency. Executives realized this was not a loud but harmless controversy that could be buried with a short apology. This was a legal threat with teeth, one that could expose internal decisions, private emails, and deliberate editorial choices. Almost immediately, traces of the original segment began disappearing. The clip vanished from official pages. Re-uploads were quietly taken down. And the host at the center of the storm, a man usually addicted to attention and constant online engagement, went completely dark. No tweets. No jokes. No defenses. That kind of silence does not come from confidence. It comes from a lawyer sitting across the table saying one sentence very clearly: say nothing or you will make this worse. Fox attempted the usual public relations maneuver, a carefully worded statement praising Coco Gauff as an athlete while distancing the network from the opinions of its own employee. It was the standard corporate shrug disguised as regret. Translation was obvious. They were hoping she would accept the gesture, cool off, and settle quietly. But Coco was not interested in a hush-money ending. This was never about ego. This was about setting a precedent. She wanted the process to be visible, uncomfortable, and impossible to ignore. And the response from the tennis world proved exactly why. Support poured in almost immediately. Serena Williams, someone who understands media hostility better than anyone, signaled her backing. Naomi Osaka echoed the sentiment, calling the comments unacceptable. Even players who regularly compete against Coco began speaking up, not as rivals, but as professionals who recognized the danger of letting this behavior slide. They all understood the same truth. If a network can publicly undermine Coco Gauff with no consequences, then no athlete is safe. This case represents more than one player versus one broadcaster. It represents a turning point in how sports media operates. For decades, outrage has been profitable. Networks rewarded personalities who spoke louder, pushed harder, and crossed lines because controversy generated clicks and views. Accuracy became secondary to attention. Respect became optional. Coco Gauff's lawsuit threatens that entire formula. By attaching a massive financial consequence to reckless speech, she has effectively challenged the shock-driven media model at its core. Criticism is not the issue. Analysis is not the issue. The problem arises when commentary stops being about performance and starts becoming character assassination. Coco's legal action draws that boundary in permanent ink. If you want to break down her second serve, go ahead. If you want to debate her tactical decisions, fine. But if you fabricate narratives about her integrity or worth, be prepared to pay for it. The irony of the situation is impossible to miss. The host accused Coco of immaturity, yet her response has been disciplined, strategic, and devastatingly adult. She did not lash out. She did not demand attention. She followed procedure and let the system do the work. Even more unsettling for Fox Sports is the fact that Coco has not lost focus on the court. Sources close to her camp say she has completely separated the lawsuit from her training. Lawyers handle the legal fire while she continues preparing for upcoming tournaments. That composure is what makes this situation so dangerous for the network. There is no emotional meltdown to exploit, no distraction narrative to sell. She is calm, composed, and still winning. Meanwhile, whispers are growing louder that Fox Sports is desperate to avoid a public trial. Discovery alone could be catastrophic. Internal communications, producer notes, editorial discussions, all of it could become evidence. Imagine emails suggesting harsher takes for ratings. Imagine messages acknowledging exaggeration but approving it anyway. That is the nightmare scenario Fox is trying to prevent. And Coco's team knows it. Reports suggest they are not rushing toward a settlement. They understand the leverage they hold. This strategy mirrors previous high-profile cases where media giants were forced to pay enormous sums once their internal decision-making became visible. The lesson from those cases was clear. Truth matters, especially when lies are broadcast at scale. Even if this case settles before reaching a courtroom, the damage to Fox Sports' image has already been done. They look careless at best and predatory at worst. Coco, on the other hand, has already achieved something bigger than a payout. She has reclaimed control of her narrative. She has shown young athletes, especially young women, that silence is not the only form of strength. You can demand respect without shouting. You can fight back without losing dignity. The host who questioned her legitimacy is now hiding, while she stands more powerful than ever. That contrast says everything. This story is still unfolding, and every new development adds pressure. Whether this ends in a settlement or a full trial, the message has been delivered loud and clear. Athletes are no longer passive targets. Media platforms are no longer untouchable. Coco Gauff did not just defend herself. She changed the rules of engagement. And that is why this moment will be remembered long after the headlines fade. The war between Coco Gauff and Fox Sports is not over, but one thing is already certain. Respect is no longer optional, and the cost of crossing the line has never been higher.